This ain't no VTech shit or Columbine, but after bowling, I went home for some damn adventure time. Yeah, boy,
Hello.
That's season 3 right there. That is from
Ned.
Tyler, the Creator's song, Yonkers.
Okay. All right. I needed the context. I'm not aware. I'm not hip. I'm not cool. But I love that. That's very cool. Well, welcome, y'all. This is, freaking season 3, the wrap-up review episode of the Never Ending Adventure podcast. Ned, how do you feel, man? How are you feeling?
Good. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like 26 weeks is a long time to go through all episodes in a season of a show. And so taking this last weekend, like reabsorbing it all and reprocessing it all and going, oh my gosh, I didn't realize, I didn't think about this episode in like for half a year. It's kind of cool to put it all in one nice, neat little package. So I'm your host, DJ Netty P.
I'm your co-host. Ned, I think we should say we're both co-hosts. Come on, dude. I'm Russell Tyndall. What's up? Russ T. And we're here. Man, let's do it. Let's go ahead and introduce. We have a very special guest. You know him. You love him. The one, the only, DJ Cowboy Hat. What's up?
What a sweet intro. I'm honored.
Oh,
so
man.
happy to be here.
We didn't need you jumping in at a random time. And then also we want everybody, he is the mastermind. He is the artistic little flair. He is the sprinkles on our cupcake to this podcast. That is for sure. It would not be doing as well or sounding as well.
You were 1 for 3 there. I'm the sprinkles. Y'all are the mastermind and the artistic flair in this. I am the sprinkles.
Don't give him all the credit.
What it is. I twist the knobs. That's about all I do.
It does plenty. And it's not us. It's not even us just like throwing to him right now. He's actually here on the podcast this episode.
Well, you guys don't want to see me twist my knobs. That's for sure. So.
No twisting the knobs.
No twisting of the knobs. No yucking
of the
knobs.
Fun to be here too. I miss when we recorded together.
Yeah,
you know, I don't get too nostalgic off the bat, but yeah,
I know it's weird, man. Y'all are both in Atlanta now, and I'm still the only one hanging out in Nashville for some reason. What a fool!
What a fool! Well, you now have a kick-ass house, which
I don't own. Because
that you don't own, but that's still like
millennials.
Awesome.
It's impossible. But that's not what this podcast is. We're not talking about real estate, dude. We are here to catch up a little bit because it is the season 3. If you are just checking out this podcast for the first time, like the season reviews are typically pretty chill, pretty laid back, all loosey-goosey, but we're going to have some fun. We're going to go through our favorite episodes, our favorite songs, and maybe some other favorite things and least favorite things of this season.
Yeah, I'd say the big thing we're doing, it's always fun to like rehash back through like favorite episodes and favorite songs. But the big thing is like what I get the most out of these episodes is like a health check. Like it's a long show. It's a lot to go through. It's a lot of characters and always kind of getting a pulse on where we're at with the development of the show. And the first 2 seasons reviews were good, but it was like, I still felt that in the last 2 seasons, these season reviews, I was still trying to convince you that this was like cool and world building and canon. And now I think you're ending this season with like, holy shit, I want more. Like, give me more.
I do want more. And just to lead into like how I felt about this season, Ned, when I went back through and I rewatched the season for this review, essentially. And again, if you're new to the show, like I've never seen this before. So every time we record, it's my first time checking it out. The first 10 episodes, minus maybe the first one, because I can kind of do without it. It's not my least favorite, but the first like 9 episodes after the first one hit so hard back to back to back to back to back. And I was really shocked that some of them didn't even make my top 10. I was like, these are great freaking episodes, and 4 of them, including episode 1 of season 3, were not in my top 10 episodes. It's crazy.
Yeah. It is it's a good thing to point out that this season starts so strong and then you're really sucked in, but they don't make the tops. They're very good standalone Adventure Time episodes. with really good little moments of humor, but not many of them. Aside maybe from Fiona and Cake, will really like stand the test of the rest of the show. I guess they're fun stories, they're good adventures. You can tell that the writers by this point, and I think I said this back at the beginning of recording, you can tell they're just in a freaking groove at this point. You know,
it's
totally almost flowing naturally for them.
Yeah, this season 2 was like a high point for the songs of the show.
Yeah.
That was probably the biggest takeaway. Like Rebecca Sugar and some of the other songwriters just really crushed it this season with all the different tunes that they wrote. And I'm really pumped actually to talk about all that. But maybe we should kick it off and go through our favorite episodes. Is that how we want to start off this season review?
It's a good place to start it off. Yeah. With just solid. Now I've got top 5 and some runner-ups. I don't know how you labeled yours.
I did top 10, and we don't have to spend a lot of time. You know, we reviewed each one of these episodes individually, so I don't want to spend forever on the ones that are outside of the top 5 for both of us.
I've got a top 5, and it's a tie for 4th place.
Okay. I can do with that.
Well, I'll just run through 10 through 6 and stop me if I hit one of yours, okay? So 10 for me was No One Can Hear You, Fear the Deer, if you're out there. Also,
so wait, hold on. 10 being your least favorite?
10 being, no, this is top 10. But yeah, least favorite of the top 10,
okay.
certainly. Yeah.
Fear
the Deer, Hobo Jake, great stuff. Number 9, Thank You, The Snow Golem. I think we're going to have to stop there because I'm sure that's got to be in one of y'all's top 5.
Yeah,
right?
that's kind of my number 1 of the season.
No way.
My number 2.
I'm sorry. All right. Well.
Yeah, we'll get to it when we talk about my number 1.
Let's wait.
But yeah, it made your top 10 to say the least, which I would have been surprised had it not.
It was the most refreshing episode of Adventure Time, like to date. Not the best, but it was the most like palate cleansing episode I've seen of the show.
It's the one I would for sure show someone if I told them the show had a lot of heart in it and they'd never seen the show. You couldn't show them almost anything but that one and be like, you can go into that one organically and just like soak it all up.
Maybe I need to rethink this. I mean, y'all might be on to something. I like it a lot, but I just didn't think of it like that.
8. Like, don't tell me your 8 is my number 2.
The Creeps is my number 8. I wouldn't think that would be your number 2.
It's not my number 2.
It's just great, dude. You got BMO when he states that Finn's always pulling pranks when bad things or to Jake. He's talking to Jake. It's not like
that really
he isn't pulling he isn't pulling a prank when bad things happen. I know you want to believe that they are a joke, but sometimes life is scary and dark, and that's just why, that's why we must find the light. I found it. You know, such a great moment. Was that on your top 5, Michael?
Yeah, it's in my top 5 actually. I love the Creeps.
I just to help the listeners understand my perspective, I watched more than this show before, like a year ago when we first started this podcast. I haven't watched any since 3 days ago, and I binged this season in preparation for this episode. So I'm going to be kind of looking around my notes. Just on the note of creepy, this episode took a leap. You know, it's like Stranger Things season 4, not quite as insane of a jump, but like we're getting a little bit more adult here. The music grew up. The intensity definitely was dialed up a little bit. So I've got 2 Uneasy and Creepy written down to next to both the Deer episode, which was like, made my like stomach churn for some reason. That one was just uneasy.
Yeah.
And then you're talking about the one when it's raining, bad things happen. Yes, that's episode 12. I'm on the same page again.
Season 3, episode 12, The Creeps.
Not my top. Not
with
my
the
top
real
6.
Ghost. It just feels like a clue mystery. Ned, you said it's in your top 5?
Yeah, it is in my top 5. Yeah, it's for this one, and I guess just maybe a longtime fan of the show. I don't know. It stands out to me as a very enjoyable episode.
Yeah, dude, I get it, man. I mean, it's a fantastic episode, truly.
Okay, keep going. Now you're on 7.
Yes. Now I'm on 7. Wizard Battle, season 3, episode 8. Wizard Battle. Amazing.
That was actually my
episode.
number. That was my number 7 too. So
okay, good.
Like, dude, exactly the same.
It's fantastic, right? Like it's such a fun episode. It's a little weird because PB's like all about getting a kiss. Like, what's she doing there? But Abracadaniel is just such a lovely. And everyone's favorite cantrip using penis boy.
She was
you know?
all about getting the kiss, because my question for that was, why is the prize a kiss?
She's all about it, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know why the prize is a kiss, but she's all about it.
You know she wanted to be there. Like, she wasn't
I'll take your word
to
for
being
it.
there.
Oh my gosh.
Princess Slutty Gum.
Oh my gosh. All right. Number 6 for me, season 3, episode 26, Incendium.
Oh, made number 6. Okay. Solid. I like it.
Number 5 for me.
Okay, there you go. Now, what was yours? You said it was number 2?
No. So Incendium didn't make my top 8.
Okay.
So but even though I was like really, I hyped up the season for Incendium the whole way. It didn't make my top 8. It's more because when I actually went back and rewatched it, I actually only wanted that episode because of what it leads to in season 4, episode 1.
Gotcha.
So it's more of like similar to Holly Jolly Secrets Part 1, and then Part 2 is really great. It's kind of, I think, just a springboard to and weirdly enough, you know, like as much as the All Gummed Up Inside song is great, like it's not my favorite song of the season too. So it just kind of just fell out of my top 8 at the end of the day.
Wow, Michael, why is it your number 5? Why
Well,
is
I
it
guess
top
technically
5 for
it's
you?
6 because I had a tie for 4th. I thought we were only doing top 5. I just, I don't know. I think the seeing Finn like with those just raw teenage emotions at the very end, like just like the flip. He's like, another pretty girl. That one works too. Like, I found that.
I get it, man. I have written down the songs are incredible. I love All Gummed Up Inside and
absolutely. Top 4 songs, top 3 songs for me. Absolutely. I called it Jake's Ed Sheeran song.
Oh yeah. All Warmed Up Inside is pretty solid.
Yeah.
And then of course Finn's unrequited love for PB and a new spark. Wink. You know, it's pretty great. It's a good episode. My number 5, season 3, episode 9, Adventure Time with Fiona and Cake.
Is my number 6. I think that fits right where it needs to be. Really great introduction to those characters. A really great episode, even as a stand. Like if you had just put Finn and Jake in that situation, it would have been a great episode. But then they did really good. They switched the gender roles, and you know, Cake was a little bit more like the sassy older sister. Yeah, I think overall it was so great, but didn't necessarily make it to my top 5 at that point too.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see from the mindset of Ice King what he does. He creates a competent Ice Queen. He also has the Finn character get turned down by the Princess Bubblegum character. There's a lot of consistencies and inconsistencies, and it's just fun to pick apart. Like, why would Ice King do that? Why would he write that? Why would he write that he loses in the end still?
Yeah.
You know, I love it.
It's really because this one is such a simple story, like go on a date, get invited to the ball, fight the Ice Queen, and the battle's done. The Fiona and Cake story through the rest of the show gets so confusing, and they put so many, like, pretty much all of our theoretically speakings could be about Fiona and Cake for the rest of the season. They really do a cool job of working that into the canon of the show without ever actually giving you a solid answer.
Yeah, I like it, man. I was a little bummed that we didn't get to talk about this one this season. But to be fair, I think the girls did a way better job than we could have done.
They did do a great job.
That was a fun episode of the podcast.
Yeah, I know. Mike had to do all different like vocal tunings for that whole episode.
Did you know that was happening? I can't remember if we told you that we were going to do that or not.
With the
with Allie and
the
Jackie.
Girls do it. I don't think this time. No, not this time. It's kind of funny. These are like what. This would be like 15 weeks ago or something, if not 4 weeks ago.
Really like
so I think
4 months ago.
This time, I remember texting y'all like, the girls are crushing it, or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, all right. On to number 4 for me. Season 3, episode 5, Too Young is my number 4 episode of the season.
Oh, it does do. I mean, I love me some Lemon Grab.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It didn't make my top 8 either. But
really,
yeah, it was a good one. I don't know. I think back now, it's like kind of the more I have a reason behind my top 5, I realize why it didn't make my top 5.
Okay. Yeah.
There's some better, and it's more because I know there's some better Lemon Grab episodes coming down the road.
Yeah,
That's
why do you
fair.
like Lemon Grab? That might be
Yeah,
not the
why
right
would
question
you-
for right now.
We're gonna get
dude,
don't
really?
save it because there's some really deep thoughts I have
All right.
behind
Well,
Lemon Grab in the future, and I don't want to spill them all on this episode.
as the new guy to the show, I'll just say, I mean, it's PB's first experiment gone wrong. The Earl
Mhm.
Lemon Grab, I think he needs redemption. I love Justin Roiland. It is such a fun episode. You get young PB, which is cool to see how she interacts with Finn as a young person. And the ending is just so fantastic. The song, Finn's getting dumped, and then Jake has this terrible bad advice metaphor, and the beautiful backgrounds, and then PB turning Finn away and saying, that was like 5 years ago. It's a fun little ride at the end there. I really enjoyed that episode.
Good. Not to say I didn't enjoy it. No, not to say because it's not in my top episodes, I didn't enjoy it or anything like that. But
Yeah, of course.
it's more because maybe the thing that kicked it out of my tops of this season was that like the end of season 2 ended with her becoming 13, and then they wait 5 episodes into this season to like reintroduce the fact that like she's Finn's age, and they're like kind of hitting it off, and then it's just over. And I was like, man, that was a huge end to season 2.
Yeah.
And they almost, I just don't think they explored young PB.
I agree.
Like they could have done 3-4 episodes about it, and then
I totally agree.
gotten to Too Young, you know?
Yeah, no doubt. That's why it's not top 3 for me. It's up there, but what about you, Ned? You want to go? Have we covered your 5 and 4?
No, so my 6, 7, 8 are Fiona and Cake, Wizard Battle, and weirdly number 8 for me was Holly Jolly Secrets Part 2. Just because the Simon reveal at the end snuck it into my top 10.
Wow.
And the final season, the final part with them making it Christmassy and wearing sweaters and the whole like Shelby outro was fun. It was fun. Number 5 for me was Dad's Dungeon.
Yeah, dude, great episode.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's just from your top 10s list, just in your top 3.
It's not in my top 10. I'm so sorry. It's such a great episode.
Dad's Dungeon. So as much
Dungeon
as
is better than that. The original Dungeon episode's way better than Dad's Dungeon.
Original Dungeon is better than this one, absolutely. I will give you that. But it made it in my top 5. I thought it was that sweet spot of our gung-ho Finn that we've been talking about for so long, diving headlong into stuff, and we see him hit this point where Joshua's words deflate him, like more than we've seen Finn deflated to this point in the show. And like, yeah, maybe Princess Bubblegum in the episode right after Dad's Dungeon is more deflated than this, but I thought between building his relationship with Finn, like with Jake and Finn, and like in that episode, and how much Jake kind of steps in, I got more out of it this time watching it. And I think in just terms of like the sequences and the animation, that last scene with him fighting the crystal demon, whatever you want to call it, is epic. So
it is.
That was
so
my
epic.
number 5, and number 4 for me is The Creeps.
Yeah. Okay, man. I hate that Dad's Dungeon's out of my top 10. Looking back on it, but I stand by what I did.
Maybe the most shocking thing I'll hear tonight. Michael, what were your number 4 and number 5?
So I put Wizard Battle and Fiona and Cake at tied for 4th. But that's, kind of like 4 and 5. It just fun episodes of pure adventure time stuff. And Fiona and Cake is as much canon as anything. As I guess we'll come to find out. And the last episode was technically my number 5, just with, I don't know, setting up. I haven't even seen season 4 that I think I've seen very little bits of it, but I could just feel the like slingshot.
Yeah. Well, it makes me more excited because Russell loved the kind of the what we talked about in season 1, where we wish it had ended on Mortal Folly, and then season 2 had gone into Mortal Recoil, and like how we wish they had kind of split those two specials up.
Yeah.
And that's what the end of the season does, is it does Incendium, and then it jumps into season 4 with Hot to the Touch. And it's kind of like a 2-parter episode.
Okay. That's great. I'm super pumped to begin season 4. Do we want to go into the top 3? Who wants to lead it off?
Russell, you lead it off.
All right. My top 3, my number 3 is season 3, episode 3, Memory of a Memory.
What?
We haven't mentioned it yet. Is that your number 1, Ned?
No. I had a Marceline episode as my number 3, but not Memory of a Memory.
Do you not like Memory of a Memory?
I like it, but
that's with Hitman, right?
No, that's
Hitman.
Oh wait, hold on.
Hitman is Hitman.
I wrote it down wrong.
Memory of a Memory is the one where we go into Marceline's mind. We get the Fries reference. We get Buff Baby, Ben dancing around in the bathroom.
If my note hadn't been incorrect, that would have probably made my top 3 or 4. Dang.
Dude, we had Child Marceline. We get the look back on the world post the war.
Yeah.
Ash's Hungies at 8 o'clock. I mean, come on.
I think maybe it's because Ash made it not in my top 5.
But he's a good antagonist. I think that's what I like it, because he's a good antagonist.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But all right, go to your number 2.
My number 2 is season 3, episode 20, Holly Jolly Secrets Part 2.
Number 2, that's awesome.
Yeah. I'm really surprised that it wasn't higher up on your list, man. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
I mean, Simon Petrikov's background is so fascinating. The Crown, the way he describes Betty, looking at him with such contempt. There's a lot about that I really love. We find out that Ice King is a human, and it's like, okay, what does this mean for Finn and Ice King's relationship moving forward? Will Finn pursue him more as a friend, or get to know him more, try and bring back the old Simon somehow? We have empathy for Ice King now a little bit more, way more than I did after the end of season 2. Yeah, I mean, I think I hated him, right? He was my most punchable character at some point.
Yeah, I think that you, even through the first 15 episodes of the show, were like, I'm not going to like this show because of the Ice King, because he's such a weird antagonist, and he's really not. Now we know,
I thought I like him more. Yeah.
I thought kind of differently about this episode. It didn't make my top 5, but it made my favorite moments, favorite things about Adventure Time. Does that make any sense? I had other more fun episodes, I think, but I'm right there with you with just your 3 and 2 were, really hard explaining backstories of some important characters. And that's what the show's all about. And that episode even picks up right where the last one left off. That doesn't happen a lot in Adventure Time. So that's,
but see, that last one, the one prior, the Holly Jolly Secrets Part 1, isn't even in my top 10.
No, it's a total setup episode. It's a total they had a full 30-minute segment on Cartoon Network, so they were going to do a special 2-parter. And
they just kind of want that left turn. They want you to be going down the saying, "Oh, fun episode, whatever." Simon Petrikov, holy crap, what is happening? Moment, and I think it really leads into a great moment. And Gunter is great in that episode, and I just love. I mean, a good Christmas time episode is really fun. But it's really special to me because it's not related to Christmas at all. It's just its own thing, Well,
I can tell you why this didn't I definitely see why, as a first time watcher, being like, this is probably the biggest reveal the show's done yet. And the biggest, oh my gosh, we have so much more to dig into on what's happening in this post-apocalyptic type scenario here. We do in season 4, the second to last episode of season 4 is an episode called I Remember You, which gets really into the history of pretty much right after the Mushroom Wars and Simon Petrikov. So that's why I think because I know more about what's going to happen, that moment was really fun, but the episode was a little less influential on me through this watch through. Yeah.
No, I can appreciate that.
That leads us to your number 1.
Oh, man. My number 1, season 3, episode 10, What Was Missing, is such an obvious number one pick for me. It's got to be. Where's it on your list, Ned?
It's number 2 for me.
2? Yeah.
It's number 2. Yeah, absolutely.
Michael, what about yourself?
My first note on this show is an acid trip. That's and I didn't mean it in any kind of bad way. I was like, this show's so crazy. It did make my top 3. It was number 3, and I just Marcy wrote one of the coolest songs in the whole show that will ever probably be written.
I still think every time I see posts and things about Adventure Time, Marcy's song "I'm Just Your Problem" is one of the songs in the show that defines the show. Like literally, every time you hear about like the Marceline Princess Bubblegum relationship, every time you see kind of like a preview, they'll play. And Olivia Olsen's got a fantastic voice, and
she does.
I think this is the first time that it feels like they let her off the leash to write something or sing something at like full capacity too.
Yeah, because I believe it was Rebecca Sugar who wrote it, and I just love the improvisational feeling tone of that song. Like, what, you don't like that, or do you just not like me? Like, there's like you said, so much emotion there.
Sorry, I don't treat you like a goddess.
Yeah, dude. My 4 reasons this is my number 1 is, first off, Jake is amazing the whole episode. You know, his quote of, "I know what was missing, talent. I'm getting out of here, you hacks, talentless hacks." Like, who hasn't felt that way about a band?
The songs are great, but Jake is far and away my favorite part of that episode.
Yeah, and then PB and Marceline's conflict and resolution throughout the whole episode. My 3rd reason is Marceline is just there to hang out. She didn't even have anything stolen by the Door Lord. She just wanted to chill and be a part of what's going on. And I love that for Marceline's character.
Yeah, that she has a softer side. Of course. Yeah, we haven't seen as much of her softer side, maybe except for the "Daddy, You Ate My Fries" song. But to show that she is troubled and just wants friends, 1,000 years old and just wants to chill, you know?
Yeah, totally. That's why it's my number 1.
All right, so we go into my top 3 now?
Yeah, let's do it.
I've got an underdog in my top 3, and it's because, I don't know, it's just the way that the humor came off in the episode, and they did a really good job with like the setting of the episode. Was Marceline's closet. Made it my number 3.
Wow.
I don't know why I love that episode. I think it's just hilarious. I think the humor is very relatable. I think they take a very broad universe and they pack it into a room, and they have like adolescent humor, you know, shit you do at your house when you picking your nose and flicking your butt boogers everywhere. Like, you know, so that's my number 3. Great
I
episode.
get it, man. Balloon music. It's really the future. It's balloon music.
It's the future, man. Number 2 for me was What Was Missing. Easy in the top 3 of this season. I think anybody would say that. And then number 1 was Thank You, just because overall, when you do look at the show from 1,000-foot view, this episode, I mean, this Thank You could fit into one of the best creative things that the Adventure Time show put out.
Which one was Thank You? I don't have the titles.
It was the Snow Golem and the Fire Wolf. Yeah.
That's solid.
So that's my top 3. Mike, what you got for top 3?
3 was episode 10, Marcy's song. I said that, you know, Finn's song had some soul too, but it didn't have the same grit as Marcy's song. Like, I don't know. I was like floored when that started. That was really cool. Number 2 was Thank You with the Snow Golem and the Fire Puppy. Like, that was just such a nice episode to watch, and refreshing.
Yeah, it's nice when an episode as simple and as like kind of silly as Adventure Time is, something restores your faith in humanity. And like the fact that a snow golem could restore your faith and be like, man, people can be good people. Like that's a great aspect to like a silly kid show, you know?
Plus it's great whenever a TV show subverts their typical narrative and just goes in a different direction with an episode. It feels good. It feels really good, that whole episode.
Great. Yeah.
I can't believe, I could be remembering wrong, but I can't believe this next one didn't make y'all's tops. episode 25, the second to last episode, where Finn gets the red
Dad's
sword,
dungeon?
stabs.
Yeah.
Dungeon. That's right. Okay.
Yeah. So
Who's up
Dad's
there for
Dungeon was,
Ned?
that was my number 5. That's my number 5.
Okay. Yeah. That was my number 1 of the whole season.
Wow.
Jake's power is insane, and he used it. Like, he actually used it this episode. He turned into a cheetah farting. Like, that was amazing. And then, he farted on the sirens. They called them the witches or something, but they were sirens. They were, luring them in.
The Wario fart.
Right. He farted on them and they like passed out and fell to their deaths or something. And then he beatboxed the hype message for Finn while he was fighting the monster. It was perfect and it was epic and I loved it.
Yes,
Michael, were those witches your sexiest character of the season?
I mean, you're lying to yourself if you say they're not, right?
My sexiest character goes to Banana Man.
Banana Man.
Yeah.
What?
We're gonna get asexual about this then.
Banana. We're gonna get asexual about it.
Ned, I was really bummed out. You said Banana Man. Someone pointed out to me in a comment or responding to a post that I made recently. Tim Garian, he's a follower on Instagram. Banana Man is voiced by Weird Al, and we didn't mention that.
Oh, we totally missed that. Oh my gosh.
He's voiced by Weird Al, dude.
I don't know
I'm
how
so
that,
annoyed at myself.
Went over our heads. That's so fun.
Dude,
it makes me love Banana Man. That's why Banana Man's amazing. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Come on.
Moved it. Whatever.
Right.
He's so great.
So I have another little factoid. I looked up one person who came in as a special voice for this. It was the Fire King. Do you guys know who that was?
Yeah, we talked about that one
in the episode. The last episode. Yeah.
Yeah. It was the president from Rick and Morty.
And that's Andre Brower. He's the head chief in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Yeah.
Wait,
no.
I don't think. No, wait, no.
Was that not?
No,
that's not him.
No,
man, I think we're gonna have to. Someone's gonna have to edit all this out.
It's the president from Rick and Morty.
No, it's very similar though. But I did some digging when I looked into the Fire King and yeah, he's the president in Rick and Morty, and then all of his other voice acting is a lot of like anime style and cartoon style shows. But
I was way off, but I was kind of close at the same time. Like
you are kind of close.
I thought that was his voice when I heard it, and I immediately looked up who that actor was based on the other shows that I know. But
well, my sexiest character actually this season was Warrior Princess.
Ooh, yeah. Well, she didn't make it my sexiest character because she has an episode where later on where Finn and her have like a little 5-minute fling kind of going on. And that she gets my sexiest character then. Like she's really cool. So I don't blame you, but I'm saving that.
All right. We'll see. I'm excited. That makes me excited for when we get to that part.
Well, on this topic, what's your I've got just like we don't have to dissect them as much, but 3 worst episodes or worst episodes of the season.
I only have one. I have one singular worst episode of the season. I didn't feel like I needed to spend
guess what it is.
Too much time diving into it. I mean, of course. Well, season 3, episode 23, Another Way. The clowns.
Oh, yeah, that was your least favorite?
I could not agree more.
The freaking clowns.
That's my worst favorite as well.
Me?
They're horrifying clowns.
They suck. That whole episode, I'm never watching that again.
And the My Way thing, like I just didn't like all of it. It was just kind of aggressive.
I was on board with you guys until we had a viewer come in.
The Traveler's Log,
The Traveler's Log talk
it was really
about
great.
How that was kind of a very interesting development with Finn of realizing that, other people are going to have a way laid out that they're going to say, this is the way, and that you have to find your own way. And sometimes that can border on the realm of aggressive and that can border on the realm of subservient. And you have to find something that like is your way. So I was like, man, okay, I've never looked at that episode through that perspective. And it opened up a new light for
That's
me.
good.
So it didn't make my worst. I think the worst of the season was the monster with LSP when she just hides in the windmill.
Yeah, that was like
it's
runner
the very
up.
best, Yeah.
Very forgettable.
It's very like again, like I say it's the worst. It's like the least amount of storyline. It's an episode driven by Finn and Jake. Like they're the main characters in the episode going on the adventure, and nothing happens. So that was like,
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's forgettable, but how can it compete with foot fetish clowns? I mean, like,
you're not wrong. They were.
To be honest with y'all, I didn't watch either of those two episodes. I watched every other episode this season and didn't watch those two on purpose.
That's amazing.
I don't blame you, but I did have a second. I had a secret one that I watched again, and it somehow becomes one of my least favorite episodes of this season. I have no idea why. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Mortori Taste Salu Thomas.
Yeah, you don't like it?
Gladiator. No, it just there's something about it. I don't know if it's the setting. I don't know if it's Jake being very season 2 Jake. The whole like, I'm not going to care. I'm not going to help Finn. Jake, I think, has developed enough, and it's very early on in season 3, so it makes a little bit more sense. But Jake's such a more like in-depth and caring about Finn character, to where I just don't think it fits Jake's characteristics.
But really great song though. On a tropical island, putting on lotion, sitting by the ocean, rubbing on my body. Come on.
It's a good song.
It's a good song.
It's a good song. It kind of hits. It does solidify the fact that Finn does have plans, and I do appreciate that. That he's like a good plan maker. He's a good adventurer because he's got kind of like step Z before he does step A, and that's very different from season 1 and 2 Finn.
It really did make me wonder if that was going to be a big theme of this season, is Finn making plans and Jake not going with the plans. And other than the episode with the Banana Man, where it's more so a question of beliefs than anything.
Yeah, morality.
Where Jake doesn't go with Finn's plan, but it's not necessarily the same thing. You know, it's a much different concept for an episode. I don't know. I'm fine with it. It's not in my top 10, but it's a fine episode.
Well, what you mentioned is a good segue into what I think season 3 is all about. As a show, as the whole, as what we're going to get out of season 3 is just development. We want to talk about development of the world, development of the characters, and development of where we're at before we go into season 4.
Yeah.
And so it's a good point to bring up about Jake, what we see with Jake's development through season 3. And what I see is a lot of, through season 1, we had a lot of like, and 1 and 2, a lot of like Jake-centered episodes where he's doing something, and then Finn-centered episodes where he's doing something, and then Jake would be like, I don't care, you know, I just have a little baby man body. And I see some development with Jake going through that. He's like caring a little bit more. He's a little bit more watchful over Finn. But and the big one what I see with development in his character is at the New Frontier, like what you just brought up, that we realize that Jake has matured enough to the point and where he really, like, the difference between him and Finn is he has this it's okay to die mentality. And I think we all kind of hit that maybe at a later age, but Finn's not there yet. And that's a huge part of season 3.
Yeah, but honestly, I've come in and out of that feeling, being okay with that. So
the coming to terms with your morality.
Learn. Like, you've definitely had moments in your life. Like maybe I was scarred as a middle schooler when someone told me the world was going to end in 2012. But like, I feel like there's several moments in your life where you have to realize that death is a real thing. Even if it's not close, you have to come to terms with it. And Jake seemed like he was kind of preaching that to Finn. Like, even if this is in 100 years, you're going to have to accept it.
Yeah.
This was a theme I had for this season, was existential themes just in general. And within that, how people deal with that and what is reality, what is not reality of the afterlife of Ooh, which we got a little bit more into as well in season 2. But we heard about glob worshippers this season. We had the ghost episode where we got to see, Ghost Princess saying, until I discover the cause of my death, my soul can't ascend to the 50th dead world. And then we had the episode with Banana Man, I can't even think of the name of it on the top of my head, the Destiny question between Finn thinking that we have a choice, but he's terrified of the mention of the opposite of what he believes, and then Jake, who doesn't think that we have a choice, but totally accepts his fate and is totally okay with death. It's really some fascinating themes for a kids show. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I think all those themes are very much like what describes Finn's development in this season. We see a lot more Finn being afraid of stuff, and kind of like what you just said, like fear of like your own mortality and all that stuff. Like he has a fear of his best friend dying. He sees the fear and the pain of diving into relationships, not just like having a crush. Like there's actually like feelings that are on the chopping block. His experience with Joshua and Dad's Dungeon, I think, hits the soft spot that he never knew existed.
Yeah.
And it's just like there's a lot more complexity. And I love that because like it's showing not only that Finn is experiencing this, but the show is going to break into that stuff over like the course of like it's opening up those little doors of like, hey, like you think this is just a fun and colorful show, but you're gonna question your own mortality after you watch this episode, and you're gonna question whether or not you made relationship mistakes after this episode.
Yeah,
you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the development of relationships was the other way that you could go with some of that too.
Yeah.
And this season, you have Finn, Jake, and Joshua's development a little bit in Dad's Dungeon, and I tried to keep these only to what I felt was like important development of relationships. So then you had PB and Marceline and what was missing, PB and Finn and the episodes Too Young, what was missing, and Insidium. You had PB and all of her followers and Too Young, and also in From Bad to Worse. You had PB and me meaning myself, in every episode that she's in, because I just don't know how I feel about her.
Exactly. You're not supposed to know how you feel about her.
You have Ice King and Finn and Still, and then also in Holly Jolly Secrets Part 1 and 2. And
very
Finn
complex
and
relationship
Flame Princess is the new relationship that we're introduced to.
I mean, doesn't that go to show that like the older you get, that all relationships aren't black and white?
Yeah,
that the fact that you have so many different characters that have such a different history, and so many friends that have such different life experiences, that childhood's great because you can put everything in 1 to 5 different buckets of like, this is my sports friend, this is my like in class friend, this is, and then when life develops and when you become more developed, like you have to realize that relationships become way more complex than that. And
that's a really cool part of this show that I couldn't have even told you that's something to think about in the first place. But that's a very cool theme in this entire show is like maturing relationships, and what does that look like?
Yeah, and it gets really intense when we really lean on like Finn's dad and father relationships in general. But this season showed like, like this whole thing going on between PB and Marcy is, we don't get any history of that, but we realize it's super complex, and it creates like emotions between them that if you hadn't experienced something like that, like it'd almost be hard to relate to that episode, What Was Missing, because you'd be like, what are they arguing about? Why are they being like bitchy towards each other? Like, so it's a cool way to introduce that there's not black and white. There's not, bucket A, bucket B, bucket C relationships. And that everybody you got to love in their own very unique individual way.
That's awesome. Well, I love to get into, we've talked so much already. I mean, I feel like we've already spoiled our favorites of this, but let's do our top songs.
Okay, we'll do top songs is a good one.
Is there any
just like one song?
I've got 3. I think me and Ned both chose top 3 songs.
Okay. I've got a runner-up 4th, which is an underdog runner-up 4th.
Yeah, start with the underdog. I want to hear the dark horse songs first.
My underdog one is the beginning of The Monster, when they're sitting outside the treehouse with BMO, and he's like, and the song ends with like, I'm a boy who'll stick his stick into your eye, and I say, why? I love, for some reason, I think that's
3,
a great little song.
Episode 6, right? We're Finn and Jake, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, it's like no, we're Finn and Jake.
It just reminds me of like that early Red Hot Chili Peppers. I think I talked about it on that episode, but it has that fun kind of rhythm and then a rap on top of it. It's pretty good. It's a good song. I like it.
Only you could find a way to compare a kids show impromptu song to your favorite band.
I'm gonna do it for every one of these songs. I'm gonna try my darndest to try.
This also sounds like Red Hot Chili Peppers because of.
We'll do a whole special episode of every song in Adventure Time and how it compares to which Chili Pepper song.
And Flea's sitting over there just like, if we honestly, I hear it.
Who we on y'all? They're both in the key of C. And they have the same tempo as the third song on the first album of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. No, I'm just kidding. I don't actually.
Oh my gosh, I was actually tracking for a second. I was like, man, you did the research or you sat down at a keyboard and you figured this out.
Poo-pooey on both of you. No.
But my real top 3, and I'm just going to go through them quick. It's number 3 is What Am I to You from What Was Missing, the Finn song. Number 2 was Buff Baby. I'm a buff baby that could dance like a man was my number 2. And number 1 was I'm Just Your Problem. An obvious choice for the season.
Wow.
That's Marceline's song, right?
Yeah, it's Marcy's song.
Of course.
And 2 of those being from the same episode, What Was Missing, which is so
it's an episode about music. It's hard not to have your best.
It's hard not to like it.
One.
Yeah. And both of those relate to Red Hot Chili Peppers songs in a way that I just can't even explain. It's just so perfect. In comparison to some songs somewhere on an album.
It's when the bass leads it all, just the bass has got to lead the whole thing.
What am I to you? No, so my number 3 was from season 3, episode 9, Oh Fiona, which is sung by Gumball, and it's Neil Patrick Harris voicing Gumball, which I don't know if I knew because I didn't do deep research into that episode until looking through all of this, but
I can see it so obviously now too.
It's so great. It's like, I love the length of that song because most songs in the show are maybe 8 to 16 bars, but that one goes on for longer than that. And it doesn't feel like it took up too much time. And it doesn't feel rushed. It's a great melody. The silhouetted, I'll never forget it. That part is just, it's great. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. And it puts a staple in the song. It gives you that moment to breathe when the song's playing. And I think that's why we did love What Was Missing in this season is they do a song where the whole scene in that episode is like built around the song, And
I noticed doing research for O Fiona, just looking into that song a little bit, there was something on the Wikipedia that said it's implied and Come Along With Us that the first few lines of the song are something that Simon once said to Betty. And that alone
I didn't even
that makes that top 3 without having to know what the rest of the song is.
You just hit my heartstrings.
Yeah. My number 2, season 2, episode 10, I'm Just Your Problem. And the next one's going to be from that. I mean, we've gone over it and why it's so great. The drop of Sorry, I Don't Treat You Like a Goddess is just such an amazing punch to the throat.
That's like it's the top lyric. I don't really care where you look. That's a kind of a sick way to open a song.
The
that,
improvisational tone's so good.
I want to hear Phoebe Bridgers sing that.
Oh my god, yeah, Phoebe Bridgers on that would be phenomenal.
Boy Genius, let's get her and the other girls from Boy Genius
just cover
together.
That song. That would be sick.
that would bust that out in a concert. That would be awesome.
Yeah. My number 1 is My Best Friends in the World, which is Finn's song. It took my number 1 place. I like I'm Just Your Problem, but there's something about, again, the length of My Best Friends in the World and the way that it flows and how epic all the shots are. It feels very much like a music video. The whole time he's singing that, he's looking up and you have the lights in the background. It's gotten dark outside. There's something about My Best Friends in the World that I just really love.
Whenever Finn does something musical, it's the pure just point of music of like, he has no musical talent, quote unquote, but he does music. Does that make sense? Like, does it because it's a human thing to do? Whoa.
It's like Finn in that song working out his feelings for everyone around him, all his friends. He's trying to figure out in his mind out loud what he feels, what he's thinking. Like, what am I to you guys? What am I to Jake? Like, are y'all even my friends? Like, I just enjoyed when we hung out and we shared ramen and we were just chilling. And that's what was so special about this night. It's not that I'm in love with you. It's that we were together. And that's why it's my number one song.
Yeah. I mean, it makes me want to this whole episode can't be about that episode, but it makes me want to go into more of like how that episode made me feel.
We just got to revisit it at some point.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do a mid-season break and just go back to that episode.
When we get deeper,
a
musical episode, when we get deeper into Princess Bubblegum and Marceline's relationship later on in the show, maybe we'll revisit this episode because this is the first real what's going on there moment in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I wanted to, in the terms of Princess Bubblegum development, I did want to take a slight moment to talk about that because she was almost less of a character in this season than I would have expected. That she was kind of just there in some episodes, and we talked about her a lot less this season than we did through seasons 1 and 2.
Good.
But yeah, Michael says good. Yeah, because we ended up saying the same things. Like, we just don't trust her. We just are like tired of her. She's manipulative. But I did want to have a little moment because this is a big lead in to the rest of the show of taking the moments of season 3 and realizing that, we had talked about her being a fascist, about being a god to her own people, that she created them. But this season has some very significant moments. And Russell, you pointed one out earlier that she's very flawed. And we talked about that very heavily at the beginning of our podcast, that she's a flawed goddess. And we see it with the mistake with Lemongrab, like, and how bad that was and how extreme that was, that we see it in an episode we have not even discussed in this episode so far is Apple Thief, that there is a ne'er-do-well tavern where people are like peddling and black market stealing diamonds in the Candy Kingdom. And so she's losing control. And then I think it all wraps up in the episode Too Young, Russell, which was your favorite, where she expresses the fact that she does wish that she could be in that phase where she didn't have to have responsibilities and she didn't have to worry about things. And it kind of is a great setup to the rest of the show, is that the Candy Kingdom is kind of taking this characteristic of its own, and that the world is crumbling down around PB very slowly. And we don't see it too much in this season, like at least in front of your face, but it's a good lead up to where I want to put that veil over your eyes before we get into some future episodes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm excited, man.
I have 3 favorite songs too.
Oh, Michael! I thought when you were talking about we were talking about favorite songs, I figured that they were just those
I
3.
only say that because we nailed 2 out of the 3 of mine. 3 was Finn's song in that episode, and then 1 was
Buff
Marcy's
Baby.
song.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Number 2, though, it didn't get mentioned, was Jake's beatbox during Finn's fight with the monster when he gets the red sword.
The remixing
that was sick. He just did that in the moment. Like, that was awesome.
Well, yeah. And Michael, we were just hanging out last week and you were like, I want to experiment in that world of like EDM and sampling, but I don't know how to speak the language. And, so I could see that would like trigger your fancy of like the remixing of little like Jake's dad's mixtape samples.
Indie rock will always have a place in my heart, but I mean, I want to make some freaking just banger beats, man. Let's get out here.
You got to go that LCD sound system route, Michael. That's what I want to hear, man.
Listen, as long as it has drills and fireworks in it, then we're gonna be okay.
As long as it just samples every Transformer sound from Michael Bay's Transformers.
That was ahead of its time for several reasons.
Who was y'all's lovely this season?
Oh, I don't want to lead on this because I don't think you'll agree with me. So Michael, do you have a season 3 lovely?
The Snow Golem.
He was a runner-up for
that.
me. Absolutely runner-up.
That's my gut reaction to the question. When I looked over my notes today, I was like, he's my lovely. That was a great episode. Yeah. And I
very upset we don't get a Snow Golem follow-up episode. Like I really wish we had a thank you part 2 episode.
There are too many part 2s that I want though. I don't know. I'm okay with that being a one-off.
Yeah, that's true. It kind of makes it live in infamy, but it's definitely why he was a runner-up, like lovely for me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Russell, what's yours?
My lovely of this season was Marceline, and she got it for several reasons, mostly because of my favorite episode of the season. She's a bass playing songsmith with a real heart for her friends. I just love that she's there to hang out, and she's just there to be a part of it all. And in doing so, we learned so much more about her. The child Marceline stuff this season was phenomenal. Marceline takes it from me.
I understand that. She was, I had honorable mentions and she was my runner up. Like it was a toss up between my actual lovely and Marceline. So
yeah,
I think that's a good one. And we get we weirdly get a lot of development with Marceline and a lot of, I am surprised how much they hinted at her. I thought they waited a little bit longer after like rewatching the show until they, said that she was a toddler right after the Mushroom Wars and that she's like surviving through it. And I'm like, oh, actually they mentioned that like 3 times in this season that she like went through some shit. My lovely of the season is an underdog. LSP gets it for me this season. Yeah. I hate to say it that it maybe is in my top
pick right now.
She is in my top punchables. But the fact that like going back through it, so realizing that the Creeps was in my top 5, and then realizing that like even though the Monster was my least favorite episode, I don't think that they give her as many amazing one-liner moments as this season. And her one-liner moments, her like absolute to the core LSP moments are so golden this season. Like I literally just the whole thing that sticks out to me is I want some lumping waffles for my dump truck. And like I blank my eyeballs.
She's not even Randy Butternubs or Professor Pants, dude. Come on.
Not even Randy Butternubs. Not even
Randy Butternubs was solid.
But
that reminds me of anyways, I don't even want to talk about it.
It's more man. It's in, and I would not have realized that if you binge season 3 and in a day or 2, you could be like, okay, my favorite one-liners came from LSP, like the whole season easily. Right. So I think that's why she nailed my lovely.
You're there for the
Marcy's
comedy.
Marcy when Stakes comes around, I think Marcy, there's just so much more. It's kind of like, again, the knowledge of what's to come. I know that like, episode tops, song tops, character tops. There's like, I'm like, oh, they haven't hit their shining moment yet. So that's why I'm maybe holding out a little bit on those other characters. I don't want too many gold stars.
Yeah, next to the same characters' names. That's fair.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be another season where Marceline is a total star, but I just couldn't help it. She's my lovely this season, I guess.
Oh, I don't blame you. But
do you have a tops for the season, Ned? I've got an interesting tops because it's straight up the Fiona and Cake episode.
I mean, so I've got some tops in different categories because I have tops of like deep moments. I have tops of like literally. I think my tops of the season comes of what I quote mostly or like sing mostly in the house. So my true tops favorite of season 3 is Buff Baby. I'm a buff baby that can dance like a man. I can shake him my fanny. I can shake him my can.
Yeah,
that's
solid.
The best. That's the best.
It's pretty great.
Tops moments of this season, it's got to be the Simon Petrikov reveal. Like it literally takes you, and it's almost like one of those thriller movies that just like you're having fun. Boom, it's serious as shit, like out of the blue, and that kind of catches you off guard and then hits you right in the feels. So
yeah,
that's my serious tops of the season.
I think my serious tops is the Fiona and Cake episode because it is such a risk, and it's kind of for all the reasons why y'all love the Snow Golem episode. Thank you. Like, I felt like it was such a unique thing that they did, and it was so out of left field. Just so weird. It's Ice King's fan fiction, which adds that whole nother layer to all of it. And we didn't even get to talk about it. And so I rewatched that one a few times and just was like, this is great. I really enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, it's a good one. And there's actually some Fiona and Cake episodes that come that are not really great, but then they build the Fiona and Cake universe more, which is like appreciating. So
yeah.
Mike, what's your tops this season?
Kind of a couple things. Weirdly, in the Susan Strong episode, just the point at like the post-apocalypse stuff. Like, I just love that part of the show. But that's to pick another different thing than Ice King's, backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Do we add this episode, or are we running free today?
I think we're free today. I think we had too much. If we had tried to split up topics like this, it would have just gone like really long.
It's going to be a long episode.
Unless you want to do an ad and do another hour, we could do that.
I was going to say we're at an hour right now. Normally that ad pops in. Yeah.
Well, I did want to, before we finally wrap up, we obviously had some of our favorites, what influenced us the most over the season, but I wanted to point out some great ones. The episode Still with the Ice King, where he freezes them and Finn calls on the Astral Beast. Just phenomenal moment in this season, I think.
Yeah.
Worth a call out. From Bad to Worse, we didn't really talk about that, but it's kind of fun. It was that callback to the first episode of the show where it almost starts out the exact same, and they just do a whole different style episode off of it. I wanted to point out Jake and Meow because that was a straight up fan influenced show where a fan drew a character and they wrote a whole episode off of it.
Yeah, plus dog liver times 51. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well, and we really talked about Jake's powers in that episode, and that was huge.
I mean, also Too Young had my best line of the whole season. Only the heat from a whopping love hug can recatalyze the re-agifying process. Which, come on.
That was your best line of this season?
That's like my favorite line. I don't know. It stuck out to me. Give me a break. Come on.
I thought it would have been BMO, what you just said at the beginning when BMO was like.
The BMO moment was good too.
Yeah, the BMO moment was.
It's
and we've got
too many good moments. Too many good moments.
When BMO stuck his hands down Finn's crack, is that what you're talking about? That was my tops. That was hysterical.
It was
1,000 years
nice
of death.
off camera. I love, what I really thought, and Michael, you bring it up, is that I thought BMO had a more prevalent role in this season. And I realized that they don't lean into BMO, and BMO becomes a very important character through the rest of the show. And they don't lean into BMO a lot in this season at all.
He's got philosophical just mic drops, though.
Yeah. Oh, philosophical mic drops, just fun moments. And that leads me into what we have to come in season 4. Yeah. Because it's going to be so great. I looked through all the episodes. The crazy part is, as I'm looking through it, season 4 is a lot of, we said season 3 was so much world building and canon stuff. And what I realized is that season 4 is a lot of what we've already built and expanding on it. So it's not world building, it's definitely world expanding. So we
that's
go back
that's kind of what I'm hoping for, to be honest with you. That's what I was trying to think of the question you asked me last review, like, what are you excited for the next season? And I think my answer was I wanted to dive deeper into the characters that we already had. We have so many great characters. Let's get to know them more. And I may have sent this to you, Ned, a little bit, but the soft and hard world building, that concept really spoke to me a little bit, just with hard world building kind of developing a full world like where the author is just giving you everything, all the rules, the thoughts that govern it, like how like the history of the world, the cultures, the different languages. The example I always see is J.R.R.
I was going to
Tolkien's
say, it sounds
Lord
like
of the Rings.
it sounds
Exactly.
like Fellowship of the Ring world building, where it takes 120 pages before they leave the Shire.
And then the other hand of that is the soft world building, which it's left more open to the reader's interpretation, and you focus more on storytelling and just the flexibility of the world, and not really diving into the whys and just doing. So another great example, or a great example of that, would be Miyazaki's Spirited Away. For those of you who love anime, that's a fantastic film, but you have all these spirits and they're in a bathhouse and you don't really know why they're there or what they're doing there. We never learn much about the creatures at all or why they care that there's a little girl in the world, other than what you can infer through the telling of the story. I feel like right now with Adventure Time, we've done a lot of soft world building. And in my opinion, it's been really great so far. Like, but I want to see the world grow more and have more of my questions answered, you know, like around it's been around a few characters, right? And they've introduced a ton of concepts, but no, like this is the way that the world is. And in the next season, in season 4, I just want to get a little bit more answers for the world that they've already built versus leaving so much open or so much like, here's a new concept. We're going to do this episode.
So I'm not sure if season 4 is going to give you a lot of answers per se, but it's going to build on a lot of existing things. So we kick off with some more Flame Princess. We do have a new character, which only appears probably 3 times through the rest of the show. In the episode 5 short, Grables. I'm going to be very wondering what your opinion is on that episode. Yeah, because it gets deep in like season 8. We go back to the Nightosphere. We get more of Tree Trunks and Mr. Pigs.
Which I hear I'm not going to enjoy, because I did love Mr. Pigs in the episode Apple Thief, but
yeah, it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a little bit more sexual than
no, that doesn't sound like it's going to be a fun one with Tree Trunks.
We get the return of Magic Man, and that comes into a big story with Glob, which is a big one.
Okay, yeah. I love that. Holy cow.
So that's a really, really big one that, like, the next Magic Man episode, we get some more Marcy and Ice King background, and we wrap up season 4. The very end, what will keep you going is the Lich. The Lich is coming
finally,
back.
And the snail. Yes, bring it back.
The Lich and the snail is answered on season 4, episode 26. So I just want to give you a little bit of carrot.
Another
in front
season
of you.
Away.
Another season away.
Real quick, I want to ask, did they talk about Glob more this season and a little bit more directly? I feel like they did.
It's been mentioned, certainly.
Yeah.
Like, where is everybody worshiping Glob?
Worshiping Glob. They mentioned that this season, and it wasn't just a play on, oh my God. They had one mention of it this season.
Well, I think Jake also mentions when he dies in the episode with
and
Banana
Glob
Man
tallies my deeds.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's been little mentions, and now in this season we learn, this is like a god of this world.
Yeah, it's true. I'm glad you asked that, Michael, because I know you've seen the end of the show, and it is a big deal.
Wait, not the whole show.
Oh, you haven't made it. Oh, you haven't done like...
No, I made it. I trickled into season 4. We're about to get into, new territory for me too. So I need to get back on it.
Yeah.
No, maybe I've seen more, but it kind of all blurs together when you really crank through it.
It's more of like a season. I keep saying season 9. There's like 2 different ways the show is defined. Some people split one season into 2, but the last season of the show, the whole like glob thing is very important. So it's going to be more fun. And also that plays a big part of Magic Man's story, which is really fun. And then the big Magic Man story also plays into Simon and Betty's story really big. And so it's just like, it's all been world building. Next season's world expanding, and season 5 is like, fuck you up. So
damn,
it's fun.
Love it. Dude, I'm excited about that. I really thought I wouldn't enjoy season 3 as much as I did season 2. But like I said, the first 10 or so episodes of the season, when I went back for my rewatch, I was stunned. I was like, never mind. The whole time I was wrong. I think season 3 might be my favorite season so far. Season 1's really nostalgic in many ways because there are 6 or 7 episodes that I remember watching back in 2010. Mm-hmm. But none of them hit as hard as the season does.
It does. It hits really hard. And it's the first season where I think they get the claws in. Like, if it wasn't a canon primetime Cartoon Network show, like season 3 solidified it as that.
Yeah, that's really great, man.
Well, Russell,
I love it.
Do you have any season 3 full season Travelers logs for us?
Yeah, so I did a couple questions on Instagram. I figured we keep it kind of on topic. We're talking mostly about the episodes and the songs and just kind of see what some of our followers felt. And I'm going to botch every one of these usernames, minus one because it's very easy to say because it's not an actual person's name. For songs, Cult of Egress said, and go follow them on Instagram. They're fantastic.
Yeah, go follow. They're
a lot of backgrounds.
Badass Instagram account. They're really cool.
Pretty rad. Lots of like full background, like screensaver type stuff. But he said, you already know, On a Tropical Island, perfect Jake vibes. Dr.Farajj said, All Gummed Up Inside, which wasn't in any of our top 3. Well, no, Michael, you said, yours was the other one, All Warmed Up Inside. But they said All Gummed Up Inside, Finn's song in Insidium, because it sounds nice and it's the most heartfelt song of the whole season, which I would say debatable, but I understand.
Say very debatable.
It could have made my top 3 essentially trading out with Finn's song in the same episode as but
totally.
It was definitely a great moment of the season. Just missed the podium in some ways for us, I guess.
I'd say it was, if we had a podium of 3, it was just like the 4th, 5th
divisive.
Yeah.
That was a divisive one, but I wanted to include it. Cause_M, I'm Just Your Problem, Catchy Tune, and Full Honesty from Marcy. PB still holds such a grudge. And another person on Instagram added to that, just saying that it moves forward the Marcy and Princess Bubblegum stories. It's Raynale NEE, Raynale. I'm sorry, I'm going to botch all of these. Episode wise, Fabian _Da_ the Fool. Number 2, Wizard Battle, because of the most shameful of all magic, the Power Shriek, which neither the 3 of us mentioned the Power Shriek of Wizard Battle. It's a cool moment. I liked it a lot.
It's a cool moment. I've had some Power Shrieks, maybe worse than that before. So.
Okay.
And also, I don't blame Finn for the Power Shriek, and I don't think it was shameful, honestly.
Well, here's another divisive one. I think their favorite episode, Nick Palme, Apple Thief, is 100% my favorite. It builds up the Candy Kingdom and a lot of fun world building.
We did talk about how it introduced the fact that there were ne'er-do-wells, and Jake ran with a gang of ne'er-do-wells back in the day, and he didn't know that stealing was wrong. So it does do some candy, but like that stuff happens naturally in later seasons. So like it's cool to see now, but it's way better to see when there's like, I say the best in terms of like the depravity of some Candy Kingdom is maybe when we get to Root Beer Guy and Cherry Cream Soda. We do see some more depravity of the Candy Kingdom.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I got for the Traveler's Log. Thank you, everybody who commented. There were plenty more, and I knew I wouldn't be able to get to everybody's, but I just wanted to pick a few of them just to share y'all's thoughts and not make this episode 2 hours long.
Yeah, we can make it 2 hours. I enjoyed talking to you both, so
I guess we could have. I'm sorry.
We could get there pretty easily.
We could get there pretty easily.
We just stall. Everyone stall. What's another thing? I'm just kidding.
What's a tangent?
What's a tangent? I don't know what tangents are.
Well, I know a tangent. Nick Palme also asked, "Is the Lich literally the snail, Or is he just controlling him?
Oh, let's not, please. That feels like a can of worms we shouldn't even approach.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there at the end of season 4. We'll have that. We'll reopen that can of worms at the end of season 4.
All right. Well, let's move on.
I
to
was
our
just excited that I saw the
season,
snail a couple times this season.
Yeah. It's harder to find. It's so much harder to find this season than it is in season 1.
Y'all catch the one when they were like recreating Christmas? He was right there by the fireplace.
Yeah, I definitely caught the one in the creeps. I mean, literally, I think I only caught it for about 1/3 of the season. I'd catch the snail.
I know Fiona and Cake, it was on the ceiling when she's kicking the little live gummy people up onto the ceiling. The snail was up there for some reason.
I know that every day it's on my ankle, so, you know.
Yeah, we actually had on a Traveler's Log, someone mentioned that they wanted me to get a tattoo really bad.
Yeah, they did.
Because they sent in. Maybe we talked about it in an episode already, but
Russell, you're coming to it. You're coming to Atlanta tomorrow, just for a quick swing through on a trip down to South Carolina or Georgia, almost. We could get tattoos tomorrow. It's not impossible.
What time?
We could. What time, Michael? Too real, bud.
There is a gas station that's walkable to my house that has a tattoo parlor that looks.
I didn't know where that was going, but that was my first guess, and I don't know how I feel about that.
You want to get some gas station tattoos?
We can poke from a gas station.
Well, to wrap things up, how we normally do is to get into the lessons. Michael, did you have any lessons from doing an entire half a year of your life listening to me and this freaking jabroni over here recording us? Do you have any lessons for us?
Like big picture, not just like this season. Big picture.
I've got season. Well, I've got one. I'm usually a 3-lesson guy. I've got one this season.
Okay, so if I'll start smaller. This season for me was how to put this in the right way. Death is real and okay.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's just going to have to be what you come to terms with, or you're going to have a pretty miserable, anxious life, you know?
Yeah.
Big picture is probably just loyalty. That's what this show's almost all about. And, you know, it's Jake the dog. And I think I've even probably talked about that in past episodes that I have been a part of, but there's something to how deep their friendship is, and by the trajectory of, you know, themes in this show, how strong these relationships are going to get in the long run is kind of cool to think about. So probably biggest picture.
No, that's a good. I was trying to always like think about big picture lessons from seasons, and they're very hard. They're very hard to pick out. Especially from all the episodes, because they just divert so much. But that's a big one is the loyalty. And I see that in this season a lot too.
Well, what's your lesson, Ed? What's your big lesson, bud?
Well, my littler lesson was kind of what we talked about at the beginning, was always have a plan. I feel like Finn is a planner way more in this season, and I love that. It's a little bit less gung-ho. It's very much more thought through. And I'm a big planner, and when my plans don't work out, I've worked on and become accustomed to, you know, be like, I have a plan. It's cool when it changes, and I work with the change, but like going into a situation with like a plan of action is great, and I do love seeing that with Finn this season. And then my 1,000-foot lesson of the season is keep adventuring, man. Like this year has been wild for the three of us, with moves, with moving in with significant others, with buying houses, with setting up new studios, with getting new jobs, with getting new promotions. This year, hopefully we'll get through 2023 and season 4 and half season 5 with it being maybe less of an adventure, because hopefully we'll kind of just like lock our shit in and be a little bit more stable, the three of us.
Ain't no chance.
That's what I mean. Like, yeah, I've learned a lot about myself this year. Don't fear death.
That should fear Michael.
Our name of our podcast is Never Ending Adventure. And this year more than ever, I felt for sure that this was I'm almost 30 and I'm still going through stuff every day that's new and adventurous. And I think that honest to God, this show has influenced my life in a way to where the way I can ad lib little goofy, stupid ass songs as much as I ad lib a very serious situation and kind of just go with the flow of it. This show is so influential on my character in terms of adventuring and just being new thing, boom, pull out demon blood sword, boom, new thing. Life will always be that way. And if you don't keep adventuring, you're either going to get bored or you're going to get killed. So that's my big lesson.
I love that.
Man, I feel that to both of y'all's lessons, the existential vibes of this season and turning 29, I did that this past weekend.
Mm-hmm. Happy birthday, Rusty boy.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Thank you. We almost recorded on my birthday and then we had to move it. But fun. So I've been in the 29 New Girl.
Oh my gosh, was that a Broad City reference?
29?
No,
it's
New Girl.
New Girl.
Oh, that's what I meant. That's what I meant. It's Schmidt. Yeah, sorry. Similar-ish shows.
29. But anyways, no, yeah, I've been feeling the existential stuff and just seeing parents and doing calculations that honestly it's just not healthy to do. And feeling where I am in my career and where we're going, and a lot of what Ned just said, the promotions and all that, which good things have led to extra stress with work and having to spend more time on that, less time on the podcast. But as I'm settling into my new position and starting to know the ropes, and I've gone through that month and a half to 2 months of learning and stress and feeling like I don't know what I'm doing, to finally being a little bit on the other side of that and being oh, I can do this. This is doable. I'm moving forward if I want to stay in this position at this company, which is a good vibe. And also is this what I want to do? Well, we'll see, But because of that, I'm excited to get back to doing promotion and working hard for content for our socials and where the community is together and they do talk on our social media platforms and whatnot. But to wrap up my lesson for this season, just real fast, just one quick little rant of don't let your brain dial turn up your fear, or turn your fear. Don't let your brain dial turn your fear volume up. Hula dancers have all the answers. Being 18 is plop dumps and waggle zags, and so is 29. Assuming makes an LSP out of you and me. Starchy has plot armor, and all deer are bipedal maniacs that will stop at nothing to get what they want. Fear the deer. Those are all my favorite lessons from this season.
I want to unpack every one of those, but it would take another hour.
I think that's exactly how you end the episode. Holy crap, that was awesome.
I think we have to move on.
Assholes.
And just say thank you guys so much for listening and being a part of this hour and a half of us talking about Adventure Time and getting into our lessons and almost getting too sincere for a minute there. And too deep, which I think, probably some listeners really love when we do. So
we're good at that.
How we do it. But check us out on Instagram. We'll be back there. We'll be posting Never Ending Adventure Podcast, TikTok at Never Ending Adventure Cast, Twitter at NEA_podcast. Email us your thoughts, your opinions, Traveler's Log stuff. Love doing the Traveler's Log. It's one of my favorite segments.
It is one of my favorites.
NEA.travelerslog@gmail.com. And we got to send out so many stickers recently, which was so great because of reviews. If you do a review, let us know and we'll send you a sticker. And I've been trying to continue Ned's sending a little fun, sweet note in each one. And I try to make them as personal as I can. If you've interacted with the podcast in the past, I try to find that and respond in a meaningful way. I don't want to just send a sticker and be like, oh, thank you for the review. Because like we said, we're traveling with you guys and we wouldn't be here without y'all in many ways. I'm sure me and Ed would still be talking, but there'd be a lot more drinks and a lot less deep thought involved.
There'd be more drinks, more deep thought, and less recording it on paper.
But thank you guys so much. Oh, another wonderful season. Can't wait for season 4. It sounds like it's going to start with the banger. And as I say,
once this one drops, we're going to do a week break. Let's do a little. We're going to give everybody a little bit of time to settle into some Thanksgiving, settle into some Christmas.
And we
for
might
you
do a
UK
special
listeners.
episode. We'll see.
We might do a little special.
I don't know if you want to watch SpongeBob tomorrow, and then record immediately afterwards and just have a terrible episode.
It'll be a good one. It'll be on brand with how we talk. So
yeah, we'll see if we do it or not. But
Michael, you know our sign offs. Do you got a sign off that you've been thinking about,
or any final thoughts, man? I mean, thank you for being on this episode.
Yee haw.
Ye fucking haw.
From DJ Cowboy Hat. What else is more appropriate?
I think that's very appropriate.
I don't want to say anything else now.
No, yeehaw. I like it. Is that your sign off? You got yeehaw. I guess I should say my sign off. Well, we'll be back soon and we'll be adventuring with you, and we love you, and party forever.
Because my sign off is I loved you guys so very much with my whole depth of my little bitty heart. I love you.